Hello, and welcome back to my journey towards breaking up with my uterus. The discussion of a hysterectomy didn't begin until about 18 months ago, when I was being treated for anemia. That was also when I found out, in my mid-40s, that my periods were not normal. So it took being diagnosed with anemia and having an awesome doctor. That was when I learned that what I had been putting up with every month for over 30 years was abnormal. Why didn't I know I wasn't normal? Well, we never talked about it, right? My mom went through it. She had the heavy periods. Being an immigrant, English as her second language, she didn't know to talk to the doctor about it. And even then, your doctor's male. There's discomfort of talking about it with your doctor. You just accept it as normal. It was what we all had to go through. That's it. And then when I started going through it, it was normal. My daughter starts going through it. It's normal. 3 generations putting up with this, thinking it was normal. Because we didn't know better. Because we didn't talk and we didn't ask about it. So let's rewind back a bit. I was 11 when I became a woman and got my first period. I hated it, and I'm not so sure that there are any girls that enjoy getting their period, but I absolutely hated it. But you're a girl, you're female. It's nature, it's expected, it's all part of growing up, it's all part of becoming a woman, and that's, you're gonna have children, it's just all normal. What also became normal was every month you pull out that towel. The towel you lay down on your bed every night, just in case you leak. And, oh yes, many times there was leaking. And over the 30 years, I just learned to sleep on my back, don't even move, because moving was a bad idea, right? So that's what it was like for me every night, anytime I had my period. I can't even begin to tell you the anxiety of playing sports in school when I had my period. Fast forward to my university years. That was when the cramping started. Granted that my cramps weren't as severe as a lot of women who have fibroids and endometriosis, it was still enough to make me want to curl into a ball and not deal with anyone for a couple of days. Then, when I joined the professional workforce, there were days where I just call in sick because sitting upright was painful. But not knowing any better, and with all the jokes about PMS, I just chalked it up to something that I would just have to deal with until menopause. Then throughout my 30s, my annual checkups would show that I had ovarian cysts, which would come and go, and then eventually some fibroids that, as my doctor then would tell me, not so bad. Eventually, the cramps got to be too much, and I went on some birth control pills, and that provided a welcome relief to the cramps for a while. I was still bleeding like Niagara Falls every month, though, and but my doctor at the time, who was male, didn't ever ask, and I never thought to tell him, because again, I didn't ever stop to consider that that wasn't normal. I eventually switched doctors at the beginning of my 40s, and that's when we discovered that I had a lemon-sized fibroid on the outside of my uterus. I also found out at that time that I was no longer able to have another child. Fast forward a few years later, and I became anemic. After some questioning, my doctor asked me, what are your periods like? And I told her that, I wear a tampon and a pad. And for the first 2 days of a 7-day period, I would have to change my tampon and sometimes the pad too, every hour. Yeah, every hour. She looked at me and she said, that is not normal. And that is exactly why you are anemic. And so she started me on some iron supplements to treat the anemia, and she gave me a prescription for some tranexamic acid to help with the bleeding, and a referral to a gynecologist to have a look at those fibroids and my uterus. I eventually had an MRI done, and not only had the fibroid grown, it was discovered I also had endometriosis on my ovaries. Yeah, both of them. I was taken off the tranexamic acid and put on progestin in order to stop the growth of my fibroids and the endometriosis. And I also met with another gynecologist, and altogether we decided that it was time to break up with my uterus, which by now had grown to the size equivalent of a woman 4 months pregnant. I was put on the surgery list, which was about a 10-month wait. 2 months before my scheduled surgery, which is later this week, I was taken off the progestin and given a monthly Lupron injection in hopes of shrinking the fibroid so that they can remove it laparoscopically. There is still a chance that once they're in there looking around, that if my uterus is too big, they will have to remove it abdominally. So as I'm saying goodbye to my uterus, I hope this helps at least one person to realize that it's okay to talk about this, and less women have to suffer needlessly. I'm hoping to post some more videos to discuss the medications that I've been on throughout this journey, and also about my infertility, another topic that we don't talk about enough. So until next time, take care of yourself.